Yins guys, thank you for listening to the Bridge to Buctober podcast, where we talk all about them Pittsburgh Pirates and that. My name is Josh, and I'm joined as always by my brother Jake. What's up, Jake?
How we doing, man?
Doing all right. I did not forget to hit record. We're recording.
Lessons learned, man.
Lessons learned. If anybody was here on Sunday, you would have known that it was about 15 minutes in, I realized I had not hit record yet. So here we are. We're good. We hit record. We're also on. Good to go. We've got some late night bucking here for you tonight, as usual for our Thursday nights.
Yeah.
You look tired?
Yeah, and I just literally got home from softball and jumped on here, downed some pizza, and hit record.
Let's go. That's how it's done. Michael from 412 Double Play in the house. Bucko Mike in the house. Let's go, man. We've got we got a series win against the Brewers. Gotta love that.
Yeah. As great as it started and as low as it looked, we walked out with a series win.
That's one of those weird ones, man, because when you look back, you're like, oh, okay, you won 13-9 in the series. It seems like it was a pretty good series. You're like, no, there was there was one good game. I'm not going to sell it short. There was one really good game.
Yeah.
Like baseball game, right? Two good games if you're a Pirates fan, but one really good baseball game. We got the 1919 again. Gonna run out of these.
That sponsorship.
Yep. Okay, so we're gonna talk a little bit about the series. We're gonna talk about essentially, we're approaching the All-Star break. There's some things kind of brewing around about if this team is good or not, and we're gonna talk about that a little bit. And then the White Sox series coming up will actually close out the. The first half, but I mean, we're already past the halfway point, but you know what I mean?
Yeah.
The first half. And we're not going to talk about maybe some of the reports that are coming out that are he said, she said kind of things. We're going to let that brew a little bit. If you know what I'm talking about, we're going to let that brew a little bit. Yeah.
It's just too much. He says, I'm not getting into that.
Yeah, I'll be honest. Jake's
not touching that.
Say no more. Say less. Okay, so anyway, let's talk about the Brewers series a little bit, because anytime you get a series win against the team that's currently leading in your division, it's a good thing.
Yeah. That's
a good thing. And it started off with an offensive explosion, kind of like the last series did. Last Friday night against the Mets, they blew up, and they do a little bit of the same thing. This one 12-2. You know, they could have had a couple more solo home runs and matched what they did the week before, but they didn't. Mike Taylor was like, "Nah, it's all right. I'm good.
I hit enough.
I've hit enough." So let's start it off, because I know that this is a topic that you love. We had our first win by Quinn Priester in that game, and he pitched good. And we got the same sort of thing, like the Pirates didn't score. They had a 6-run 6th inning. So for 5 of the innings, actually, I guess that's not fair. For 4 of the innings that Priester was out there, I mean, he's working with a tie game 2-2. It's not like, you know what I'm saying? It's not like he and he gave up 2 to tie it. I mean, one of them was unearned, right? But
right.
But he's not just it wasn't a blowout.
Yeah.
And he looked better, I guess. There's still some things about Quinn Priester that I don't like, that I don't trust.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? For me, Priester is all about, well, you remember what Keller had to go through.
Yeah.
And so that's kind of how I feel. And I think it's there. I just think that you're going to have to wait for it. if he has time. I really do believe that if the Pirates do take off and will, you know what I mean, for whatever you think of them, if they do take off in these next few years, Priester's going to end up being a good pitcher somewhere else. Because you're going to run out of patience here. You're not going to have the ability to allow him to work through that. Right. I mean, you start looking at our list of pitchers moving forward. If he's not clicking, and he's not going to have the same grace that Keller did to work through all of that here.
Yeah. I know you said because you love that, because I love this kind of stuff. And I don't think it has anything to do with him pitching and from the second inning on.
Like, there you go. Go ahead and go into it.
The opener, just like what in the? I just don't understand that. He started every game. Every game he's pitched, he started. There was literally no reason to do that. It's just Derek Shelton just trying to overmanage. Like, dude, he's a starting pitcher. Let him start the game. Like, Fleming's not. You're just shortening the bullpen right out of the gate, in my opinion. I don't like it. Now, with a guy that maybe isn't going to pitch 6 innings, that's okay. That's a bullpen game. I'm fine with that. If your bulk guy, quote unquote bulk guy, is going to throw 3 to 4 innings, then fine, do an opener. I don't care. That's not even an opener. It's a bullpen game. He got to start.
You're right. That would be a bullpen game. This was a true opener.
Right. Which Quinn Priester's a starting pitcher. He's not a relief pitcher. It's not someone you're trying to build up innings. This is a guy he's just a starting pitcher.
He did just come off of the injured list. I mean, you could make a case that it
has no difference if you're coming off the injured list, whether you throw your 6 innings from the inning 1 or inning 2. It doesn't make a difference.
Well, the difference is he didn't have to face Churio, Contreras, and Yelich 3 times. Right? He only has to face him twice. Because the first time through, Fleming took care of that. So
get over it. I mean,
I'm just saying though, that's why it works. Because you're giving the top of that order less looks at your starter. And a guy who has had trouble getting through the first couple of innings now doesn't have to face their best hitters until he gets going.
I see what you're saying. It makes a little bit of sense, but
I'm not saying I love it.
Like,
I understand what you're protecting the role of a starting pitcher. I get it. But we know because there's people that count these things and write these things down. It works. And we just hate that it works, really. But this is why it works, because it's it's all about, we talked about Blake Snell winning the Cy Young last year, and it's like, well, yeah, but how many times did he even face hitters 3 times? How many times? Right. You know what I'm saying? They just take him out before his 3rd time when he gets exposed.
But what you're doing is you're creating a cop-out. Do better at preparing and getting ready to go in and start your start.
Yeah.
Do better at coaching and preparing your players to be in the right position, to be in the right mindset, to be in the right go-get-em attitude from the gate.
I think
just let this guy take care of it.
I think there's going to be a theme here, though. I think there's going to be a little bit of a theme for this show, and maybe I don't know if there will be, but because I'm going to say something now that I'm going to say again. Am I always all about telling Quinn Priester to man up and get over it and be better? Or do I want to win this baseball game? Because I have a choice. If I think it's going to give me a better chance to win to put Fleming in the 1st inning, and really he should have been able to get through 2. If he doesn't, you know what I mean? He just wasn't good enough to, I guess you could say. Right? So, you know what I mean? Where am I at in saying, well, this is a development opportunity for Quinn Priester. We need him to learn. Or do I need to say, we're facing the division leader, I'd rather win? And so that's when I go in to say, hey, we haven't won a game that Quinn Priester has pitched yet. Not just Quinn Priester hasn't won. I don't think we've won a game that he has pitched yet. And we just won a game that he pitched by going through this route. So if you don't go 5, okay, so we're getting a couple comments in here. Rob says if you don't go 5, the team should lose their DH spot. Okay, so this is actual rules. These are rules that they're starting to talk about. This is a real rule that they've talked about, and it's to incentivize starting pitchers for going deep. And this is actually one of them that they've tossed around. MLB. Rob Manfred's in a room where they're talking about this, saying if your starting pitcher doesn't go at least 5 innings, you lose your DH for the rest of the game.
That's a terrible rule.
It would stop the opener 100%.
It would stop the opener, and that's fine. But if your starting pitcher gets shelled, you shouldn't lose the DH.
Which is, I mean, it's not in place, but I'm saying like there are
right. No, I'm just saying that
you could see the argument because it's the same thing.
Yeah.
You're protecting the starting pitcher and say like, well, if your starter doesn't do good, if he is getting shelled, then that's just another disadvantage, right? Yeah. Michael brings up a couple things here. Quinn Priester's stats in the first inning last year, 5.63 ERA, and the highest batting average against 387. And he's making this next point where it says some guys need to get the wheels moving before they can get rolling. So I think this is what we're saying where he's at right now. And I totally get what you're saying and saying, well, no, fix that. So you're 100% on. But from my standpoint, I'm saying, yeah, but today I might have a better chance to win this game if I just give the top of that order somebody else.
Yeah, I mean, that's fair, but long term, it's about addressing that problem and trying to fix that problem. And if you can't fix it, then you are a bullpen arm and you just move to the bullpen.
Yeah. I think it'd be interesting
to see. That's called
being
a failed starter.
Well, I think it would be interesting to see because I think there's a lot of failed starters. Love that. It's funny. I think there's a lot of guys that way who maybe aren't just failed starters, but maybe they're just, hey, his stuff is like he's got we talked about this with Brubaker in the past. He has 2 great pitches, and then everything else is kind of okay.
Yeah.
And so when you have a guy like that, it's like, hey, we could actually throw you 1 to 2 innings and you could be great.
Yeah.
You could be great. You know what I mean? And so there's some of that. I think Majinski was a little bit of that where they were saying, hey, if we just limit you here, I think you have the ability to be better than just like, oh, we putting you in the bullpen because you weren't good enough to start. But I think you could be more valuable as a reliever than you are as a starter because of how good these pitches are. And so I think there's a little bit of that too, that maybe plays in some guys moving to the bullpen. And Quinn Priester, to be honest with you, probably not. He is probably not that guy. Like his fastball's not good, right? He's got a good slider and he's got if he gets the sinker going, he gets a lot of ground balls. But like outside of that, there's not a whole lot to love as far as putting him in the bullpen. I don't know, unless he can just throw like, who's not a lefty because who's the left or the right-handed pitcher who was just like 90% sliders. It was like big time for a minute.
He was always a bullpen guy?
From what I know, yeah. Like,
are you thinking of Houston Street?
No, because he was a bullpen guy even in college.
Yeah.
He was a closer. No. Romo. Didn't he just always throw the slider?
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Okay.
The Giants.
Yeah. Sergio Romo. So yeah, I think that this is an ongoing discussion, the whole opener thing, and I think it's because we clearly saw it, and I mean you're saying we saw it work, right?
Yeah.
Here, but long term, you'd rather just Priester clean it up, and that's why I don't think that he will.
That's on coaching as well. I mean, like you got to figure out a way to get your players prepared to compete from first pitch.
Yeah. So the offense, though, Brian Reynolds, Joey Bart with the grand slam. Rowdy Tellez, another home run. Poolside homer, Jake. Another poolside homer. This is big time.
It was against a lefty, too.
I'm telling you that we talked, it was a few weeks now, and I said, backside, he's doing good things, but until he starts pulling home runs, he's not back yet. He's pulled a few home runs now. I mean, I think this guy's here. We talked about that last week. He's turned it around.
Home run, too. Let's give it to him.
100th home run. Yeah, where's that at? Let's play the clap there. That's worth it. 100th home run.
A little bit of a classy move from Milwaukee fans too. I mean, they gave it to him. You know, they held. You know, he played there.
Yeah, and they really like him. And it kind of goes to show. I mean, it seems like Pittsburgh's really latching on at this point now too. I mean, the Rowdy chants every game you go to. It's an easy name. It's a fun name, right? And so it's super easy to have a name, have your name be chanted for things like that. But like when you start seeing the poolside home run, now you're going to start talking about a guy who can actually do damage and hit home runs. And to me, that's all we asked for. That's what we needed that he wasn't doing. And now maybe even a more polished hitter because he has the ability to just slap backside when it's there. And if you're not going to get anything inside, runners in scoring position, he's just, and defensively, he's been really good lately. So I don't know. I mean, it's another Jim Rosati here. Rowdy's back. Extend Rowdy. I mean, it does make you. I mean, like it makes you think about it. Like first base is we don't have a solution for next year yet. Why not? If he continues this the rest of the year, why not? By the way, Jim,
there's no reason not to.
Just when I was prepping for our show tonight, I got to catch some of your WNS9 Plus with Eno Sayers. If you guys didn't get a chance to watch that, go back and watch it. It's really good. Or listen to it. Eno Sayers is awesome, and that was a good episode. No, this is definitely true. Let's go ahead and because Jim points out good defensively, except when he decides to cut off Nick Gonzalez on routine grounders, and we're not getting those outs. And Connor Joe does the same thing, and it drives me nuts. We've got to have hey, if it's more than 2 steps, you need to just go to first because your guy's gonna be there. This is a real problem that we keep seeing. Seriously. Bucko Mike Romo career. 6,441 sliders, 2,413 fastballs. If that's a real number, I mean, I kind of believe it though. I mean, it proves my point, right?
Yeah.
So anyway, the offense was really good in one game. And so what we have here is a team who, it's the old adage, save some runs for the rest of the series, right? And I, made the joke that they've been saving runs all year. But it's kind of true. Like this is baseball. Like they just go silent the next day. Next 2 days, we scored 1 run in 18 innings.
Yeah.
So you can't though. You can't save it. It's not a possibility. You can't do it. I mean, you have you have a team whose offensive numbers. If you get an opportunity to go up there and rake, you better do it because it's going to make your season look a little bit better. And most of these guys are having a down year.
Yeah.
And, so you'll take them. But they only count as 1 win. So when you lose the second one, 9-0, it kind of sucks. Martin Perez he's not getting it done, man.
Yeah, he's not very good.
Yeah. And the bullpen it's not deep. We've got good guys and we've got meh.
Yeah.
And even the good guys are meh sometimes. Actually, they're never meh. They're just either like feast or famine.
Yeah.
And I know this was from earlier here, Bucko Mike. Homerman today got lucky.
Yes and no. I mean, he has the stuff to do what he did to get out of it. I mean, he don't post a 1.93 ERA without being good. He just had to work around some inconsistencies today.
Like, not just today.
I don't know. He's scuffling right now for sure, but I don't know if he quote unquote got lucky.
Yeah, I see. There was the line drive to who'd he walk?
Everyone.
Well, no, it was 2 hits and a walk, right?
Yeah, so the first 2 guys in the inning got hits.
Right. He walked. Why am I? Okay, here we are. So we had Jake Bauer hit, Garrett Mitchell hit, and then strikeout, Bryce Terang. The line drive Bryce Terang hit down the right field line, though, could have been 2 runs. And it's, 10 feet foul. You know what I mean? So there was a little bit of luck there. He ends up losing him to the walk and then strikes out Contreras on like 2 pitches. I mean, identical pitches. I don't know. I mean, the thing is like...
Were they outside the zone?
Yeah. Right? Both of them were.
Were they as bad as the one Palacios got rung up on?
No, he swung at him.
Oh, well, that's not luck. Those are good pitches.
Well, no,
that's what I'm saying.
No, I'm saying the luck was from the line drive down the line.
The foul ball.
The foul ball down the line. No, I'm saying like the pitches he threw to Contreras, like those were, you know what I mean? Those were good. Yeah. And he got him. I'm looking for the pitch by pitch here. Yeah, I mean, they're outside and high sweepers, not getting them down. So it's not like he really nailed his spot, but there's just enough movement because the stuff is that good that he was able to get out of it. But
that Palacios at bat though, like I said, I only saw the later end of the game, but those pitches weren't even close. Like strike 1 and strike 3 were awful.
Yeah. He struck out twice today. He hadn't struck out yet this year.
Wow.
It's interesting.
That last one was just brutally bad.
7 games, but yeah, there were some calls all game. Boy, Jack had another couple calls against him, and I'm like, this dude's got to be thinking the world's against him. You know what I mean? Hey, when you're hitting 180, the zone's a little bigger. You don't get favors. You don't get favors.
Right. Yeah.
I know. ABS, bring it in. Robo umps.
Only for challenges. I don't know.
Wait, right. But which is, yeah. No, I'm okay with
all Palacios would have just challenged that second one. It was like, yeah, that was
right.
Ball.
Well, and Jack's been upset about every one of them, so he would have done it too.
Yeah.
And it would have fixed it. But I'm just saying what I'm saying is like you sometimes you do earn a little bit here and there.
Sure.
Or unearn.
Yeah.
You used to.
Right.
You don't as much anymore because everybody knows the zone.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? You don't get those anymore. That's some old school stuff. Paul Skenes is
a dude.
He's a dude. You see the conversation, it's already starting. And I don't even think it doesn't even start in Pittsburgh. It's the national. Is Paul Skenes the best pitcher in baseball? And I'm like,
asking me like, oh,
they're saying it. They're saying, well, go ahead. What do you think though?
I mean, he's putting up numbers, but it's just best pitcher in baseball has to have a longer track record. That's literally it. That's the only thing.
Yeah. So if anybody remembers when my buddy Stroop was on here with the Phillies series, he was here. He's a Phillies fan. He's from Philly. Our families were together getting ice cream tonight. And I said, man, it's all, all this is happening. And now he's a Philly fan and they got a couple guys over there who could make a case too. You know what I mean? That's the best rotation in baseball right now. And so he said, I think you could make a case that he could be the most dominant pitcher right now. But like the best pitcher in baseball has to have a track record.
Yeah.
And this just screams like what have you done lately or something like that, like, or overhype on something that's going on like right now. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And the problem is when you watch him pitch, I don't see holes in his game. This guy he's come out there with not his best stuff and dominated. He's come out there with, I think Pitching Ninja put up something today and said, like, this guy's, every time he goes out there, he says, today I'm going to dominate with this pitch. It's a different pitch every outing. So there is something like really special about what he's putting together in such a short time. Eventually just has to have like one of those starts where he gives up 5 runs. Like it has to happen.
You would think.
It's just not. What do you think here? I don't know. Riff a little bit on Paul Skenes, and I mean, there's an All-Star game on Tuesday. He's going to the All-Star game. Is there any shot?
Any shot that he starts or pitches at all? I mean, sure, there's a shot. I think ratings. You know what I mean? Isn't that what All-Star games are all about? Is getting ratings. People will tune in to watch Paul Skenes versus Aaron Judge.
Right.
So
yeah, I mean, I think if he doesn't start the game, right, he's got the 3rd or 4th inning.
I think if he throws like 120 pitches today, he doesn't.
Right. Well, Derek Shelton said after the game, they asked him about if he would get asked to start. I think his words were, I mean, we believe it would be an honor and we think he should do it. So like they're on board for him wasting bullets in the All-Star game. I'm so conservative with stuff like this. You know that I'm sitting there like, you don't get them. Those are ours.
I'm in for him pitching in the All-Star game, whether it's the start or, just an inning.
Right.
But hard 20 pitches. No more. Like a hard limit.
So did some looking up today. It feels like he does throw a lot of pitches sometimes, right? Mm-hmm. He's averaging 16. I think it actually went down a little bit today. I think he's averaging 16. It's just over 16 pitches an inning. It's actually not that bad. You know what I mean? Yeah. Like there right now, if you talk qualified pitchers, which he's not a qualified pitcher, he doesn't have enough innings to qualify for a league leader. But of the qualified pitchers, I think he went into the game with 16.45 pitches per inning, which is there with the dude for the Reds, Andrew Abbott. And there's 21 pitchers who throw more pitches in an inning or have more pitches per inning, right? If you take away the qualifiers, it's like 140 more pitchers if you only include starters. So like, I don't know how many you know what I mean? Like, it seems like 16 doesn't feel like a lot. And then you look at like where they are on that list, and even the guys who are at the top of that list, they're like 18 something. So you're talking about 2 pitches an inning. Yeah. You know what I mean? On average. So it doesn't feel like it's that big of a gap and like it really means a whole lot. But you triggered me when you said 20. Well, yeah, he could do 20. He could do, I mean, he's only going to do 1 inning anyway.
Right.
It'd be 20. You know what I mean? Unless he gets shelled, which would be hilarious if that one game where he gives up a bunch of runs isn't even for the Pirates. I don't think he would be the youngest All-Star game starter, right? I know, Michael, 412, you've been looking a lot of this stuff up. I'm just clicking on all your stuff here. Can you answer that question? See if you can get to... I don't think so, though. He's obviously somewhere where he's looking all this up. He's already in place. I don't think he's 22, right? I don't know. Could be.
He's 21.
Is he still 21? He's 22 and 43 days.
Oh, okay.
So birthday May 29th. So 22 years old. I don't know. Interesting. So All-Star game. I mean, he threw 99 pitches today. He did not throw more than that. So what do you got here, Jake? 7 innings, 99 pitches. He had, I think, a 27 pitch second inning or something like that. He's got a no-hitter going, man. You take him out? You leaving him in?
I'm. This is a hard one for me. Right now, where the Pirates season, I'm taking him out. He's too important, and I'm most of the time leaning towards let him try to finish.
Yeah,
but I don't know. I don't know what I would do in this situation.
Side note here, Jerry Walker was 20 when he started the All-Star game in 1959. Thanks, Michael.
Mm-hmm.
So, yeah, even when it happened, I wasn't surprised. I was take him out. I did take him out.
Yeah.
He is important long term. You felt confident, even though Holderman, eventually he just is going to be okay. Like, I'm not worried about him long term, but right now it's just a little dicey. But I got maybe a lukewarm take here, man. I don't care about the no-hitter. Once he comes out, for me,
kind of a hot take. That's not really lukewarm.
Well, I didn't know if it was or not. For me, when Skenes is out of the game, the no-hitter's done. I don't care about it. If you didn't throw the whole thing yourself, it doesn't matter.
You mean you don't care about the combined no-hitter?
Right.
Yeah, no, yeah.
It's just not like, dude, how many nights in a row do we see a bullpen come in and just not give up a hit?
Yeah.
In 2 innings. He only has to go 2 innings.
Yeah.
So, no, I'm just kind of not I don't care about it. Now, if he stays in, that's a different story. But he just threw 107 pitches his last outing. And you just kind of figured, like, he's not going to throw the 9th, even if they let him throw the 8th. And if that's the case, just shut it down.
Yeah, and if you let him throw the 8th and he still has a no-hitter, 100% you can't take him out. I'm the opposite way. If you've already let him throw 115 pitches and he still has a no-hitter intact, he could potentially go out and have another 6-pitch inning in the 9th.
Yeah,
I'm letting him go.
I understand what you're saying. 115 is a big number, but
115 is a big number, but you're 1 inning away.
I know, 2. Yeah. Well, and the same thing goes. If he was at 99 after 8, I don't even think anybody's thinking about it. He's in.
Oh yeah.
It's because there was 2 innings to go for me.
Yeah.
I got to tell you. So our cousin Sean texted me, and he's I'm done with baseball analytics. How do you not let him pitch a no-hitter there? And he does his thing, right? And I just my sentence back to him was be like, hey, a no-hitter gets the same amount of wins today as a 2-hitter does. We won the game. I don't care. What are we mad about? We just took a series from the first place team and we won the game that you know what I mean? And so, like, that's my only point is like, and here we go. That's why I said a theme kind of thing. Like, I'd rather just win. And so if we win, then it's fine.
Yeah. And I think also a little bit of it was for me was I was like, at first when they were like, yeah, he's done. I'm like, man, he's got a no hitter. How do you not? But Skenes seemed okay with it.
Yeah, at first
he was just talking.
The
he was
broadcast. Yeah, the broadcast kind of made it feel like he was waving them off, but he did kind of like.
So don't him and Mitch Keller have a thing where they high five before he goes in? Couldn't that have just been what he was doing, and they were just making it a thing?
Oh, I mean, I unless they're lying, then he didn't have a problem coming out.
Right.
This is kind of like, it's a lose-lose, really. Long term, it's a lose-lose. Oh wait, we got 27 years. The combined no. 27 years tomorrow. The Cordova Ricardo Rincon. With Mark Smith hitting the homer in the 10th. Is that right?
Did they hit the Aquafresh sign? Jeez.
Somebody just brought up Ricardo Rincon the other day, and they were a Cleveland fan. They brought up Ricardo Rincon, and I said something about, oh yeah, like he's a Pirate history book kind of thing. And they're like, what? He pitched for the Pirates? I was like, yeah. Now, see, I'll actually give you, I'll go back to this a little bit because Rosati said it's Cordova Rincon slander. I'll give you a little bit on this one. Because Cordova had a no-hitter through 9. Like he completed a no-hitter and the Pirates just didn't score any runs.
Yeah.
So there's a little bit more credibility there. And it's not like the Mariners had that one, or was it the Astros just recently? It was like 6 pitchers.
See, and that one to me is more impressive than if it's somebody goes 7 and then the 2 guys get having 6 different pitchers be on their game on one day.
True.
That's good. That's impressive.
That's true.
But if it's just 3 pitchers and like 2 of them pitch 1 inning each.
Yeah. And they're usual 8th and 9th inning guys. So last update here, Skenes, if he starts the All-Star game, would be the 6th youngest for an All-Star game behind Walker. Did we say, I forgot already, Jerry Walker, Fernando Venezuela, Doc Gooden,
Mark Fidrich.
That's
the Bird.
The Bird and Vida Blue. Okay. Maybe it'll happen. Valenzuela was 20. Did you hit the same? Oh, Cordova.
I did.
Did he really throw 121 pitches?
Good for you, bud.
Holy cow. The other thing too is, we talk about, pitch counts and all that stuff. And a lot of times we blame analytics because analytics is telling us there's 100 pitches that they can throw. And I'm like, well, no, analytics told us that you can throw everything as hard as you possibly can and spin everything as much as you possibly can. As a result, 100 pitches is the thing. Francisco Cordova wasn't doing that. He could go 121 because he wasn't throwing max effort every pitch. Right? And that's like the thing we've been talking about for so long. Like at the beginning of this year with all the injuries, what were we talking about? Max effort, high spin, high velo. These are the reasons people are getting hurt. So it's your own fault. Maybe if you didn't throw 102, we wouldn't have to stop you at 100. Maybe if you wouldn't have had a 27 pitch second inning, we could have let you go a little longer. It's the pitcher's fault. Maybe if you weren't an absolute stud, is essentially what we're doing. Cordova could have thrown 200 pitches. That's awesome. Okay, so we're Paul Skenes. It just goes back to me like, win the game.
Yeah.
That's the same sort of thing.
I'm with you there. So
as we talk about that, check my time here. We could wrap it up here soon-ish. What do we got? Before I start, Jim Rosati, dumb pitchers, stop being so good, you silly gooses. I saw Katie said, we're way off track here. Katie sent me this meme that said, or maybe it was just like a joke or something, that said something about who came up with the phrase silly goose. He said, not a one of them are silly. And I forget what it was now. I totally ruined that.
That's all right.
It was in my head. And when I started explaining it, I was like, oh, crap. It has something to do with them being like dinosaur creatures. And now they're always mad. I mean, they're out back all the time. So they're just fighting all the time. Just, yeah. So anyway, 2024 Pirates. Okay, we're going to Chicago, south side of Chicago, playing a really bad White Sox team, which sometimes means crap, we're going to get swept. 3 series in July, they haven't won any of them yet. They did win their last series in June, but it was against the Rockies. 3-7 in their last 10. They're 17-31 at home. 165, negative 165 run differential. We're definitely getting swept. But the thing is like, we have to go, like, we're facing in this series, we're facing Garrett Crochet, game 1. One of those longtime relievers turned starters dealing. Mm-hmm. And then we're facing Chris Flexen, game 2. We don't have a game 3. I didn't look up if we'd run into, what's his name? Now I'm going to forget. Who's the other guy crushing?
I don't know other pitches. I don't know any of the other pitchers.
He's crushing for him right now. Eric Fetty. So I don't know if we'll run into him. Michael Kopech just had an immaculate inning. Chad Kuhl is on their roster. Maybe we'll get to face Chad Kuhl. Be kind of like the Bryce Wilson. We do have
neat.
What's that?
That'd be neat.
We do have Luis Ortiz going and Mitch Keller going. But we don't know. Do we know? Does anybody know who's starting? Well, okay, we'll miss Fetty. Bucko Mike says. Yeah, I don't know. But still, like, Garrett Crochet might carve this team up. However, if you sweep this team, you're 500. Now, that also means that they're going to have to actually win 3 games in a row, which they haven't done since May 10th when they lost 3 games in a row.
Yeah.
They haven't had any swing. Well, we said this like the last 3 or 4 episodes, that this team is just incredibly 500 and they can't do anything else but be 500. Now, obviously I know they're behind, but basically like they're just mid.
Yeah.
Just how else to say it. Where are you at? Where are you at? I know that we're not going to talk about trades. We're not going to talk about trades. Okay. We're not going to say, will they buy? Will they sell? We talked about that last week, but like, is this team, you're starting to see a little bit more offense, but like, is it all in one game, or, you know what I mean?
It's still a team that's learning. It's still a team that's growing. And as long as they continue to progress, they're a good team, but I'm not putting all my eggs in the basket for this year. I'm not sold that we are good enough to compete for
contend. Yeah.
Well, I'm saying compete for like during the playoffs. Like I'm not sure that we're where we need to be in order to be a good competitive team in the playoffs. Now the starting pitching is fine.
But you can win games like you won today. I think if you make it in, this team could probably make some waves. And the way that some of this offense goes, if they get hot, they can be good. Like you think about Jack Sawinski bats 199 on the year, maybe, you know what I mean? And he goes into the playoffs and gets on a heater, he could carry you for a couple or for a series. the way that he is. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Yeah.
But
Yeah, I just they're just so
is Skenes going to be
inconsistent.
pitching?
I mean, if you make the playoffs, he's pitching. You're not pulling a straw. Like, that didn't help them with Strasburg. He got hurt a million times and he's pitching.
It's a lose-lose, right? And you go back to the Skenes, whether they shut him down. You can go back to this game. What they do with Skenes this year is a lose-lose. Because if you shut him down and he stays healthy, then everybody says, you ruined your chances, right? But if you don't shut him down, you run into the Oviedo situation where you're like, hey, you wanted me to push, I pushed, and now he's hurt. And then you're blaming me. You know what I mean? You can just imagine, because what did we do? We blamed overworking Oviedo. And what other choice did they have when they had 2 starters last year?
Yeah.
And so, I don't know. Like, what's the right thing to do? I don't know. I don't know that anyone has figured out. Certainly, they haven't. No one has figured out how to keep these guys from getting injured.
Right.
So do you just go for it? Or do you try something? You know what I mean? So
that's what I'm saying.
I don't know.
If your season's lost, shut him down. If you're still in it, he's pitching.
Yeah, it's just one of those things where I'm kind of like, okay, I don't know. I'm a spectator in this, is the way I'm very interested in how they're going to handle this. But I do wonder at the same time, like, I don't know what I would do. I don't have, I think if I was in that position, I think it'd be really hard as somebody who's competitive. I think it'd be really hard to shut it down when I think there's a chance and this is the greatest asset. This is the only chance that we can go anywhere, is if he's starting this. And I mean, put Jones in there too. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. So I don't know. That's what makes it really hard for me. I don't know. I mean, I think they're going to try to acquire somebody. We saw before we hit record that Elias Diaz was available. We had talked about him on the show a few weeks ago when we talked about some of the guys that maybe we'd target. He's a rental.
Yeah.
But I feel like that's maybe, someone that this team would acquire, depending on which story is right, whether there's money or there's not, whatever side of that argument is correct, then, maybe this is the type of guy they go after. Maybe it's Ward, which would thought, well, it was a done deal. It's a done deal. That's not what I said. On that same path, I want your take on this, because I've also seen, mainly even based around taking Paul Skenes out, but I've seen that this team is an embarrassment, that the city deserves better. And I thought that was pretty heavy for a day where we won and took a series from the first place team. But at the same time, like, where are you at on this all in all? Is this the team? Is this the core? Because that's the one thing that they had back then. They had a core that was there, and then they tried to put in some of those pieces like a Marlon Byrd and a Justin Morneau, who weren't the center of attention, but they solidified and rounded everything out. Does this team already have that core? Or do we actually, in order to take that next step, do we actually need, like when Paul Skenes came in and said, no, I can actually be your ace. Do we need something like that? On the offensive side, though. Like, do you need to go out and get like a McMahon and play him at first? I don't even know if that's big enough. I feel like that'd be a pretty big pickup, but like, do you need to make a big splash, somebody that goes in the middle of this order and becomes part of the core? What is the core? Obviously, it starts with Reynolds and Cruz.
Yeah, that's a good question. I think Nicky G's making himself part of the core.
But even then, like, if this is his first season, like, do we really? I do. I kind of wonder, like, it doesn't feel like there's an offensive core, and maybe that's fine. Maybe the core is in the pitching. You know what I'm saying? That maybe that's okay. But I don't know, man. It's hard to know like what the actual core is. I mean, hey Jake, at the end of last year, we would have said that Jack Sawinski's part of it.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And then we're seeing what
he can be.
He can be, but he's not.
But he's not right now. But he can be.
So until that happens,
right?
It's
tough, man.
Yeah, I just wonder if like what we thought this team could be and where they were headed. I mean, we've all been wrong about a lot of things. I think a lot of people would have Peguero in front of Gonzalez. You know what I mean? Prior to this season. Mm-hmm. I know that you and I have always really liked what Gonzalez brought to the table. We were kind of agreeing on that we didn't want him blocked.
Right.
Nice to know you get one right every once in a while if it continues. You know what I mean?
Right.
But yeah, it's just you thought Henry Davis could come into that role and be part of a core. And same thing with Sawinski. He still can.
Yeah.
But it does kind of make you wonder, like,
those guys can.
What does this team need to... Well, you thought Key Brian Hayes could be. He felt like... I mean, he's signed to an extension. You felt like he was part of the core. And defensively, still going to give you... I mean, right, he's playing hurt.
Yeah.
I mean, it looks... You can see it on defense. You can see it certainly on offense. I mean, he had a ball today where it was just like, man, he just doesn't have it.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? But it is. It makes you wonder a little bit, you know, when you think of it in that sense. Like, you don't have
the big core like we had back in 2013.
Yeah. I mean, McCutchen was, McCutchen was an MVP.
Outfield. We had an outfield that was, you know, said to be one of the best outfields in the league.
Oh, yeah, one of them forgot to hold his own, but
right. But still, I don't know. It's just so tough, man, because you look at, you can't win games with potential.
Yeah,
and that's what we have a lot of right now. We have a lot of potential that's just not. It's not getting the job done, not living up to its potential or playing up to their potential.
Mm-hmm.
And how long do you wait? That's not for that's for us to react to.
Yeah. And how do you get to that point, right? How do you get that unless your identity is in that pitching staff, right? If you could get Cruz and Reynolds and one other guy and then be like, yeah, but this team, like, because back in our, in that playoff run, 13 through 15, nobody in that starting rotation was what, I mean, for a season, Garrett Cole, right?
Yeah.
But outside of that, it was reclamation projects. I mean, they're great years. But you know what I'm saying? Like, of that, what's the word I'm looking for? It's not profile, pedigree. But it wasn't guys of that pedigree that are in that rotation now. You know what I mean? They were Keller and down. If, you know what I mean? They were flash in a pan, Jeff Locke for a half a year. Or who you going to get? Charlie Morton. Veterans, AJ Burnett and Francisco Liriano, you know what I mean? And like I said, and then you had Garrett Cole, who's kind of sat in the middle of that with the higher pedigree, but that wasn't part of their core. That was just the starters that did enough.
Yeah.
And had some good years. Mm-hmm. Like, Burnett had some good years. Liriano had some good years. So, like, that's fine, but I don't know. It's really interesting to think about.
Yeah.
You got anything else? Late night here, shutting it down.
Yeah.
Glad I hit record tonight.
So even later.
I went to bed at
just,
like 2 a.m. Sunday.
Gosh, no, I've been sleeping a lot lately. It's the older you get, the more it catches up to you, right?
Yeah, for sure.
It's tough. All right, man.
All right. Well, we'll be back on Sunday after the series, and then it's the All-Star break. So
Yeah.
You doing anything?
They're having the home run derby on my birthday, so
that's right.
Yeah.
Hey, happy birthday.
Thanks, buddy.
Been
getting all the Shark Week stuff so far.
I know, right?
I got some Shark Week Hey Dudes today. Freaking great, man. I wish I had them here. I could show them off, but
yeah, I'm gonna have to get some of that swag.
Yeah, for sure.
All right, let's get out of here, man.
All right,
let's get a sweep this weekend. You think?
Love it.
You think? Can they be 500? No, you don't think so? Okay.
Crochet is gonna carve us up.
Let's go, Bucs.
Let's go, Bucs.
Thanks for listening to my dad and Uncle Jake on the Bridge to Buctober podcast. Follow them on Twitter, Facebook, and Instagram at Bridge2Buctober. Don't forget to subscribe so you know when new episodes are released. Clear the deck, cannonball coming, and let's go Bucs.